That's why we have to. The first thing I'm going to do is rejoin the Paris Climate Accord. Because without us, nobody runs it. Nobody steps up. No one has the moral authority to do it. And I'll conclude by saying the thing that bothers me most about Donald Trump is he has so fundamentally damaged the moral authority we have. We have the most powerful military in the history of the world. We not only lead by the example of our power, but the power of our example. And our example we're setting around the world is devastatingly negative to our own security interest and the world's overall interest. More than you ever want to know. I apologize. You didn't give me.
No. It was great. No,
I'm interested. I'm very interested. Look, Trump thinks we should go to the moon. You want to solve climate change. I think that's a good distinction.
One final question for you, Mr. Vice President. This interview is going to come out tomorrow, which is early vote day. And so I'm going to ask you a two-part question, which is what I think President Obama used to call pulling a Chuck Todd. So part one, what's your message to the folks who have not yet voted or do not yet have a plan to vote? And part two, for the folks who have already voted, the 50 million Americans who've already voted, what can they do over the last 10 days to help make sure that you're the next president of the United States?
Well, first of all, what really rankles my opponent is I say that the thing that bothers him most is he's not a patch on Barack's jeans. I mean, Barack was one hell of a president, and I tell you what, man, what an honor it was. I think you guys believe it too, to serve with him. I mean, an incredible honor. And I'm not being solicitous. I really mean that. He had more integrity in his little finger than most people have in their whole body, and he had a backbone like a ramrod, has one. But one of the things that I think is most important is those who haven't voted yet, first of all, go to iwillvote.com to make a plan exactly how you're going to vote, where you're going to vote, when you're going to vote. Because it can get complicated. Because the Republicans are doing everything they can to make it harder for people to vote, particularly people of color to vote. So go to iwillvote.com. Secondly, we're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. What the president is trying to do is discourage people from voting by implying that their vote won't be counted, it can't be counted, we're going to challenge it, and all these things. If enough people vote, it's going to overwhelm the system. You see what's happening now. You guys know it as well as I do. You see the long, long lines in early voting. You see the millions of people have already cast a ballot. And so don't be intimidated. If, in fact, you have any problem, go to, and I don't have the number, but it's 833-DEM-VOTE, the letters DEMVOTE. Call that number. We have over 1,000 lawyers, over 1,000 of them will answer the phone if you think there's any challenge to your voting. Go to 833-DEM-VOTE. Dial those letters on your phone. That will get you the assistance that we have already put in place. Thirdly, for those who've already voted, it's not enough, with God love you, it's not enough that you voted. You got to go out and get your friends. You got to go out and get your family. You got to go out and get people. There's so many people, like the old days when it used to be a lot easier. There's so many people when were able to knock on doors and know Mrs. Smith didn't have a vehicle, that you drive her to the poll, or the polls. You make sure that you get your friends, your family. Because look, as John Lewis said before he passed away, it's really, you have a sacred right and it's a sacred obligation to vote, particularly young people. You're the ones who, if 18 to 25 years old vote in the same percentage that the rest of the population voted in 2016, we know what happened? We would have had 5.2 million more people voting. You can own the election. You can own the outcome. It really, 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 really matters. And make the case to your friends. Make your case to your friends that they can't complain if they don't vote. And it's going to be counted. It's going to be counted. And because I think the American people are going to show up, Dan, in such large numbers, there's going to be no way to avoid the outcome. And look what he's done from the beginning. Done everything to try to discourage you, saying he's not sure he'll accept the results. He's not sure what he'll do. I guarantee you he'll accept the results, and he'll be out in, there's no one going to stick with him. He's the only president I know that 6 of his generals who've worked directly for him said he's unfit to be president, commander-in-chief. So I'm not worried about any coup here. I'm not that he's saying there's going to be a coup. But look, think about everything that's been said. When I said about 3 months ago, I think he's going to suggest he may not step down, he may not accept the outcome of the vote, people said, oh, there goes Biden. What did he do? 2 weeks later. It's all designed to try to keep people from voting. So those who have voted, you know how long it took you, how you did it, what you did. Go to, particularly if you have, grandparents or older folks in your neighborhood and they have an absentee ballot. Show them it matters how they fill it out. It's complicated, some of it. They haven't made it easier for people in many states. And by the way, that's why we challenged it may not hold up in Pennsylvania if the Supreme Court were to change it, but now they've allowed the counting, if it's postmarked, this can be counted for all the way for the next several days, which it should be. Well, you have in Texas the governor having these drop boxes, one in a county. Some of the counties are as big as my state almost, literally. And the idea there's one drop box? And so we're going to have enough people out there policing it, watching it, making sure. Do not be intimidated, but go out and help those who you know are going to have physical difficulty getting to a polling place or may need help on how to get done what they need to get done to vote. iwillvote.com will tell you exactly where you can vote, where you live, what circumstances are available to you, and vote early. Vote early. But by the way, I particularly one of the things we did, you guys' generation has stepped up. One of the things you may recall that I started arguing for is the need for significantly more young poll workers. Well, thousands of you have showed up. Thousands of you have showed up. Because of COVID, older people who traditionally are the poll watchers and make sure everything's squared away, they're afraid to show up because they're dying. Or they're getting COVID, many of them. They're worried about it. They're seeing what's happening to their friends. And so what's happening is this election is a generational election. This is this generation's opportunity, not a joke, to take back our democracy. It literally, my word as a Biden is at stake. Our democracy is at stake. And I have to admit to you, I always heard that. I was a history and political science major in college. I've been involved in public life my whole adult life. But I never really believed it, that it was really, every generation has to earn it. Well, guess what? It's in jeopardy, man. It's in jeopardy. Do not be intimidated. Do not be intimidated. And whether you vote for me or against me, vote, vote, vote. There's not a single thing we can't do when the American people stand together. And that's not hyperbole, I mean it. There's nothing beyond our capability.
On that note, Vice President Joe Biden, thank you so much for your time. Good luck in the last 10 days. Let's go win this thing.
I'm going to give it hell. Thank you very much. By the way, you guys have such an enormous following, not only with my children, my grown children, but my 5 grandchildren who range in age from 27 to 14. Or no, that's not true, 16. She'd be very upset. I said 14. But all kidding aside, you're really reaching out and you touch people because you talk, you talk plainly to people, and it matters. It really matters. Anyway, thanks. Looking forward to seeing you guys in person.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.